Now, when you think about uranium, you probably think about stuff like this, and this. But what if I told you that all of that might be changing very, very soon? Because in recent years, a lot of stuff has changed and that might cause a great investment opportunity. Now, although this subject is a bit controversial, I really want to urge you to watch the entire video. So what I have done is I shot two videos. One that you're watching right now, this is part 1, and then part 2 will be uploaded in 2 days from now. And I'm going to explain you exactly everything that has changed and where we are right now. I will show you step by step what the fundamental bull case is for uranium and why this could be a great investment for the next decade. Now, if you think that is interesting, then please do me a favor, not only watch until the end, but also like, subscribe, click on the bell and click on all so that you don't miss the next upload. Leave me a comment or share this video with your friends if you think this is useful. Now, without further ado, sit back, relax, and let's get into the content. Now, before we are diving in, there's an important disclaimer that I need to make. None of this is sponsored, none of this is paid. Always do your own research. This is absolutely no financial advice. And yes, I am invested in uranium. I own uranium stocks. So just to get it out of the way, to be completely honest, transparent, and to get the disclaimer out, I think that's important to know before we are diving in. Okay, so what are we looking at right now? To understand the current situation, we need to go back all the way to the year 2000. Because in the year 2000, we saw a rising demand of big countries in the world for uranium. In this case, India, Russia, and China. The uranium price rose all the way to $136 per pound, and that was an absolute all-time high, and it still is until today. And the bull run ended in 2008 because of the start of the credit crisis. At that time, everything was sold off, everything went down the drain, also uranium. But the demand in the market actually still stayed. So after that blown kind of hit everybody in the face, uranium started again with the second run of this major bull market in 2010. But it suddenly came to an end in March of 2011 after the Fukushima disaster. And if you don't remember because you were too young or you missed it, well, at that time there was an earthquake in the ocean that caused a tsunami, and the tsunami hit Fukushima and therefore also the nuclear plants. And they were so badly hit that they needed to shut down, and some of them were completely destroyed, which caused a nuclear disaster in that area. The result was that politicians from all over the world started screaming that we should end nuclear power right away, close all the plants all over the world, and that's also kind of what happened. And that was the official death blow for uranium at the time. The price went down all the way from the top, $136 per pound to $18 per pound uranium. And this new price for uranium, the $18, was way too low for producers to stay open and produce the uranium. So the result was some of them went bankrupt, but most of them closed doors. And a few years later, the subject of uranium and clean energy came slowly back on the agenda as we were recovering from the credit crisis, because the general consensus was slowly that the whole world cannot be foreseen from clean energy with only building solar panels and windmills. And yes, we really need to get off this oil and fossil fuel standard, so something has to change. Also, a lot of countries has signed an agreement that they want to be completely CO2 neutral in 2050. So to reach this goal, most countries and governments knew we need to step up and we need to change something. And that is where uranium slowly came back on the agenda again. And during the rise of uranium, and especially after the 2011 Fukushima disaster, a lot of nuclear plants became much safer, tinier, and nowadays there are also much more different models to choose from. And right now there are also small nuclear plants the size of a container that can foresee an entire small village of clean energy. At the same time, we see huge names like Bill Gates and Elon Musk entering the space, saying that they are now pro-nuclear energy and they think that we should really investigate it. And in other words, they're actually saying, let's try this out on a much smaller base once we are able to make safer nuclear plants. So now that you know kind of the news and the general perspective of what happened and where we are, I am now going to show you step by step what the fundamental bull case for uranium is. And to start off, we are beginning in 2013, because in 2013 there was a program that ended for uranium, the so-called megaton to megawatt. That is a program that started off in 1995. And the idea was to take nuclear warheads from Russia, bring them to the United States, dismantle them, take the uranium out and use that for nuclear plants. Now, of course, this is great news because then at least the bombs are not being used to hurt someone and this uranium gets a second chance. Important to notice is that this uranium comes from what we call the so-called secondary market. So that is everything that is physically above ground which can be used. And the total amount that they extracted is 24 million pounds of uranium each year. But by the programming ending, that is also the physical uranium that is taken out of the secondary market. That is our first step to the bull market, so there's less supply in this case. But you will notice that this is absolutely a drop in the bucket of everything that is coming after this. Because if there is one country that is big in uranium and nuclear plants, then it is Japan. Matter of fact, Japan had 50 nuclear plants before Fukushima. As of right now, 27 of those nuclear plants are ready and can be active anytime, but they're waiting for approval of the government. 9 are really running right now and all the others are still closed after the disaster of Fukushima. But if we're looking in the entire world, then we see a complete different image. Because right now we have 438 active nuclear plants. 57 are being built right now, 97 are on a drawing board, and 325 nuclear plants are waiting for approval. And believe it or not, 168 are only already being built in China. And if we're looking for the future demand, it doesn't really matter which graph you're taking. It depends on the source, but the one source says a little bit more and a little bit less. This is one graph that I found, but like I said, it doesn't really matter which graph you're taking. Every forum, every source says the demand for nuclear power will be explosive in the next decade, maybe even 2. And if you know that there will be such a rise in demand, and right now you see a picture of only the demand in the plans of China for the future, you know that with the current market there will be a huge shortage. And also in the secondary market, the uranium is kind of drying up because almost all the miners have closed after the disaster of Fukushima, and we kind of used in the last decade everything that was above ground, so again the secondary market. But of course that also has an ending, and right now we are seeing slowly that we are reaching the bottom of the bucket. Next to that, it takes 7 to 10 years to build a nuclear plant, and it also takes approximately 7 to 10 years to get a uranium mine operating. And on top of that, we're seeing that the current mines will be close to depletion in the next 10 to 15 years. So put all of those ingredients together and you know you have the perfect recipe for a shortage in the next few years. But everything changed when one specific party decided to enter the space. And who this party is, what they have done and why this is so significant at this point in the journey, I will tell you in the next video. So if you don't want to miss that, then please do me a favor, subscribe and click on the bell, click on all so that you don't miss the notification for the next video. Also give this video a like, and in the meantime feel free to add me on Twitter and on Instagram, the links are in the description. Thank you guys so much for watching and I'll see you very soon in the next one. Bye bye.